All right, as a reminder, each one of the sections in the book has plenty of examples which are with the complete solution inside the text of the section, and some of it on the video CD that would help you understand the material. And also at the end of the section, you have self-check exercises, and these self-check exercises have a complete solution at the end of the section also. Now we are ready to move on to section 1.4. Again, if you look at the text, there is a section on page 22 on the multiplication and division with the table 8, which will tell you basically in general how you're supposed to do it, and table 9 for addition and subtraction of the fractions. So please study those before you attempt any of the exercises. All right, let's move to exercise number 30 under section 1.4. The instruction says perform the indicated operations and simplify. Let's look at number 30. You have t divided by t squared plus t minus 2 minus 2t minus 1 divided by 2t squared plus 3t minus 2 equal to. What you want to look is at the denominators here, these two denominators, this one and this one, and see if you can factor any or both of these, and therefore find the least common denominator. Let's do the first one. To factor, I'm going to put 2 parentheses, and again, I look at the first term here, t squared, and say, how can I get a t squared? Well, if I have t multiplied by t. Then next, I would look at the constant, which is a minus 2, and say, how can I get a minus 2? And the answer, or one answer, is 1 multiplied by minus 2, or minus 1 multiplied by plus 2. Which one is correct? Well, since the middle term has a positive 1t, then I would say it has to be a plus 2 and a minus 1. If you multiply these two parentheses together, you would get the denominator of the first term. Now I would do the same thing, factor the second denominator. Again, I put 2 parentheses here. The first term I have here is 2t squared. Well, in order to get 2t squared, I say 2t here multiplied by t. That would give me 2t squared. I would look at the last term, which is a negative 2. And in order to get a negative 2, I can say plus 1 and minus 2 would do it, or a plus 2 and a minus 1. Again, I would look at the middle term. Since it is a positive 3, I would suspect that it has to be a plus 2 and a minus 1. If you multiply these two together, you're going to get the denominator of the second quotient. Now, equal to. Now I can take the least common denominator between these two terms. I say the t plus 2 and t plus 2, they are in common between the two, so I write one of them, t plus 2. the t minus 1, and the 2t minus 1. Those are, the multiplication of those would give you the least common denominator. Now for the numerator, I would compare this common denominator with the denominator of the first fraction, and what is lacking is 2t minus 1, so you multiply that one by the numerator, so it would be t times 2t minus 1, and in the second one you have minus 2t minus 1 multiplied. Again, comparing this second denominator with the common denominator, you would see you don't have t minus 1. Now in the numerator, the denominator, you write it as is, t plus 2 times t minus 1 times 2t minus 1. The numerator, you can factor out this term. You will factor that out. So 2t minus 1. If you factor that out, from the first term you would have t. From the second term you would have minus this term here, which would make it minus t plus 1. Now you can see this t and this minus t would cancel, so all you have here is a plus 1. So 1 times that, it would be that 2t minus 1, but this would also cancel with this 2t minus 1. Therefore, in the numerator, all you have left is a 1, and the denominator you would have t plus 2 times t minus 1. And that's the answer, the final answer here. Now let's do another problem from this section 1.4. Problem number 46. You have, in the numerator of this quotient, you have 1 divided by x plus h squared minus 1 over x squared divided by h. The first thing I can do is, in the numerator here, I can find the common denominator between the two terms, the least common denominator, which would be h squared times x plus h squared, and I would have h squared here, and minus x plus h squared here divided by h. You need to make sure you understand this is like h divided by 1. Therefore, what I can do is I can multiply this numerator by this denominator and divide it by this denominator multiplied by this numerator. So 1 times that numerator would give me h squared minus x plus h squared, and denominator would be h squared times h plus h squared. In the numerator, I can go ahead and expand this h plus h squared. Therefore, I would get h squared minus h squared minus 2xh minus h squared divided by h squared times h plus h squared. Now, this h squared, this minus h squared would cancel. So in the numerator, I have two terms, both of which have h in them. So if I factor out, let's say, a minus h out, I would get minus h times 2x plus 1 and divided by h squared times x plus h squared. Now you can see this h and this h can cancel. Therefore, you end up with minus 2x plus 1 divided by h squared times h plus h squared. Oh, I think I see a little mistake here. I think this has to be, when you factor out h here, this would be an h, not 1. Therefore, this would be an h here also. So it would be minus 2x plus h divided by h squared times h plus h. That's the answer.